Nature Boy has shown his face. Thank you, Nature Boy, for showing up. Fucking Streamlabs is such a hooker, dude. I know you did. Nicktronic, welcome, mighty, good to see you. Uh, I know you do. I don't know if you're still doing, but I know you did live streaming a lot on the Facebook and stuff. Did you use any like streaming thingies like Streamlabs or OBS, or were you using just like straight on like through your phone or something? How were you doing it?
Yeah, well, I started doing the live streams when the pandemic started, and I guess it's been almost 3 years now. I've been going pretty much every Wednesday
You're still
since.
doing it?
Yeah,
Oh hell yeah!
and yeah, it's great. People tune in every week, and it's really changed. It's helped me grow as just like a public speaker or bannering or even what we're doing right now, because
Yeah.
I'm like very naturally shy and I didn't used to talk very much during my shows, and
Mm.
like but I love to talk to myself. Like I get sick of hearing my own voice too, but I do not shut up when I'm alone.
Yeah.
So like, so something about being in a room alone kind of gives that feel like you are alone, but people are watching you still. But it kind of let loose some of my inhibitions with that kind of thing. And yeah, I normally I just play acoustic guitar through the phone speakers. Like I've I know people that like get really far into that and then like have so many technical difficulties. So
It's a
if you're
pain in the
not
ass.
doing it right, it's like it's hard. But
Well, you know what? That's the thing that I've learned from TikTok, right? Is those TikTok lives. There's just some people who have their phone and their guitar or whatever they're playing, and they're nothing special, and they'll still have like 10,000 people in there watching them. I think it's coming to that point where people aren't really caring. I think people are just sort of latching on to personality, and of course, they're fans of the music, but I think that's just part of it. I think it's just hanging out with people in a digital space. It's so like, but like you don't see that so often on Twitch, right? Like, because Twitch is a very I mean, it's very catered to like all the little things floating around and sound effects and the woos and such. uh, but but you do see the cell phone situation when it comes to like the e-girls. They'll have There's a lot of girls who, or ladies I should say, who should they're not young girls. Well, they are young girls, but they're I think they're supposed to be over 18, I guess. In any case, I don't really hang out in those streams that often, mainly because it's boring to me. But you'll see a lot of those ladies using their cell phone by pools and bikinis and stuff, because there's this weird rule for Twitch is that you got to be by a body of water if you want to wear a bikini or anything like that. So
sure.
they also have like inflatable hot tubs in their basement, and so they'll just be jumping around in in their basement in a hot tub. And I mean, there's a whole category for hot tub streams. But in any
This is
case,
this is me. I
bro,
don't even need
bro,
a Twitter for.
Twitch goes off. Twitch goes off, and that's the thing about Twitch and TikTok Live, and YouTube. YouTube has a lot of this stuff going on as well, but it's TikTok is more centered for or aimed at kids, I guess, and so you got to be more careful about it. But actually, I just saw this funny TikTok this morning where it's becoming popular for girls to sort of be naked, but they sort of fade their image in the background. So it's like it's sort of like a circumventing the algorithm. And it's so they're still getting their like thought on, but they're also like just sort of hanging out like but they're like there's a pair of tits just hanging out, but it's faded in the background, so it's kind of getting missed by the algorithm or the bots, so in any case.
There's yeah, that there are so many rabbit holes with that.
It is, man. TikTok is a prostitute. I can't even deal with it. But I kind of wanted to go back to your talking to yourself, because I think that's like an interesting way, because I'll do that too. And I think it's sort of an interesting way to sort of expound your thoughts and stuff, like to sort of work out ideas and because I'll just be walking around, and I mostly do it by myself because I don't want to just walk around like I got a family around here. I don't know, which they wouldn't care if I did, but it would just be weird for me. I don't know. Do you feel like that's sort of a part of your process of thinking and working things out?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I'm an only child, so like I never
Nice.
had any siblings, and I currently live alone in the woods, like hermit out for long periods of time before
Oh,
I go on tour and stuff and record. Have
wow.
my home studio here. So yeah, I find myself talking to myself a lot,
Hmm.
and it's especially when I get excited. It's like around my second cup of coffee in the morning,
Hmm.
I'm just going off, just having like a full on just revelations with myself on my porch. But yeah, I mean, I think it does have a lot to do with my thought process too, because I think it's, and I've been making a new resolution with myself that when I get into that mind state to pick up a pen and start writing instead of
Hmm.
just talking to myself, because it's actually, it is like kind of, it is sorting through ideas and like kind of just laying everything out on the table for myself, you know. um but yeah, yeah, I mean, I guess the older I get, the less self-conscious I am about my weirdness.
Yeah.
So it's like totally comfortable with the fact that I talk to myself. Sometimes a little too comfortable. I've noticed that now I'll start kind of doing it while I'm walking around in public. Catch myself and be like, people are probably thinking maybe I should just like put one of those little earbud phone things in my ear,
There you
just so
go.
so I
Just,
don't creep people out.
I mean, or you could go the other direction, lean into it, just start wearing like old work clothes that are all raggedy, and just be like that guy who just walks around the hood, just like
There's
just
Cooley
talk to
again,
him.
just talking to myself.
Oh, Mr. Cooley. Uh, all the kids
He's
will.
talking like
Well, it's but I like that. I like that you're sort of experiencing that too, because in my old, I mean, I'm not like to this place where I can just like start farting and picking my nose in public, like, but I feel like
still
that's
a couple
coming.
decades to do that. That'll come.
But yeah, like getting more comfortable with who I am as a person, being more comfortable in my own skin. That I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't like at work. I don't even notice it, but I'll just like burp real loud, and it'll be in front of like nurses and shit. And they don't. I don't even think about it. And they're just like, what the, excuse you? I'm just like, oh, yeah, I don't. I'm married. I have a child. I don't care. Like I'm not trying to hit on anybody. I'm not trying to impress anybody. Uh, but, and like, I don't know. How long did it take you a while to get comfortable on stage? Is that was that one of the things that you really had to overcome?
Well, with actually performing and playing music, not at all. That
Yeah.
has always been really natural to me. But more of the other things around it, particularly like banter or like telling a story about a song, or it's because you see performers do that in so many different ways anyway. Some performers just don't even look at the audience and never say a word, and then others have these verbose stories that they've scripted that they almost repeat verbatim every time.
Yeah.
And I kind of like try to stay in between that, and like I said, from the live streams and stuff, that really helped me kind of do that, allow myself to talk it to myself in public. so
Dude.
so that's,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I try to not be scripted, but I do have my sort of wheelhouse of different, one liners or little stories or anecdotes about a song that I'll throw in now, or I have a couple songs now I've been starting to write funny songs here and there, which is because I've got a lot of really like sad singer songwriter songs, and I was
Right.
like myself out. So I've I have these different songs that are almost a little bit interactive now, where like people will make dinosaur roars or howl like coyotes, and I love it.
Yeah.
It makes it more fun for me too, and I'm glad it. it yeah, because I have, I grew up in like a really small, went to a really small high school and very like rural area, and you know grew up. I've always been kind of a shy country mouse. So but I've always, like, since I was 13, I've been extremely compelled, knowing that it's been my calling to write songs and perform, and I haven't stopped since then. And so a lot of things that I had a lot of weaknesses with that didn't come as naturally, I've been refining over 20 years. So
Yeah.
hopefully I'm a little a little better now.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing, right? It's like when you're talking to like young musicians who are just sort of getting into it, and then they approach you as like, how do you, how do you get stage presence, and how do you get your confidence? It's like, well, do it for 20 years, and you'll probably figure it out too.
Yeah.
Do it consistently for 20 years. I should add. Uh,
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because I mean, you change over 20 years as a person too. So
oh
it's
yeah.
I mean, I've had moments probably in the past 5 years of playing shows where I've experienced stage fright more than I ever had when I was younger, for like
Wow.
different reasons, where I like feel like this is really important, or
Mm.
something happens where I forget something and feel unprofessional and I get in my head about it. And
Yeah.
it's still easy to psych yourself out, but but it's all about experience. It's just like if you've been through all that and you know how to roll with the changes and make the show go on, and how to handle those things, because it always happens. You're gonna get nervous. You're gonna make a mistake. Something's gonna be awkward. It's just like, just gotta roll with it.
Yeah, I used to take that shit to heart too. Like if I messed up, it's like, man, I fucked up the third verse and I hit the wrong key, and I would sit there and be like, God damn it. But as you sort of go through it over and over again, you realize it's like, well, probably the only person to notice that is you, and probably maybe your bandmates,
Oh yeah,
and
but they're
and
doing it, like it. You like I've definitely had moments multiple times where I'll be playing a show and either the stage sound is really bad, or I hear something out of tune, or I know there's mistakes being made, and in my head it's just this apocalyptic show where it's just like this, like I'm gonna walk off stage and like put my tail between my legs and never play music again or whatever, and
yeah,
like it's a dream, and like then afterwards everyone's like, that was a great show. And you just sometimes you just have to like you have to learn how to gauge things too, where it's just, man, it's not really about what you think. Like, you do have your bar that you set that you want to meet, but when you're performing for people, it's like, ju- gauge it by the people that are listening to you, because if everyone's having a good time, it doesn't matter if the sound isn't perfect or string breaks or whatever. There's it all real, and that's where being able to carry the show with a little banter too kind of comes in handy too.
mm.
When things do go wrong or there's a little weird something weird, you can crack a joke about it and keep the audience engaged. And,
Hell
you know
yeah.
all little things that are just like little tricks that I've accumulated over the years to keep under my hat, because shit goes wrong, man. you know
Yeah, no, and there's nothing wrong with that. That like not having those tools, like having little one-liners, little quips here and there. Those tools are so important, because if anything, you have that to rely on, and not as like a crutch or anything, but it's something to move the show forward. So if something weird does happen, and you have that, and you could just sort of go into it. Or I don't like this idea that there's I don't know. I mean, like the idea of having things pre-planned like that, or having, and there's not too many people who still feel like that, but like being in them, there's certain artists who are purists who are like, I'm in the moment, and it's like, no, fuck you. It's like you're here to entertain people, you're here to keep people's attention, and you're here to, you do a job, and and create a fun environment. So there's nothing wrong with with having these sort of these tricks and these tricks, that's a shitty word, it cheapens it, but having these little quips to sort of back you up and get you out of sticky situations, because
Oh,
it's
you have to, yeah. Whatever kind of performing you're doing, or public anything really.
yeah.
It's just I mean, it's just on live TV the other morning, and it's just there's those moments where it's just like where it's like, wait, this is live. Like I can't mess up right now. So
Yes.
you don't, or if you do something, how to just roll with it because
It,
yeah, it's
I,
inevitable.
becoming comfortable with yourself, I think, has a lot to do with it. And as I got more comfortable on stage and like doing, even doing TV spots and stuff like that, like, which I haven't done a million of them or anything, but like doing it enough, going into live studios or going into studio, going to like doing the morning news, you know what I mean? Like, silly stuff like that. I guess it's not silly, but in any case, it can be silly. In my head, it can be silly sometimes. But like you do gather this confidence, and you do gather this reliance on yourself, where it's like you trust yourself. It's like if you're nervous about a situation, like going into any situation for me, it's like, well, I've done this 1,000 times. I know what I'm doing. I'm nervous, and recognizing the feelings, but also having that trust in myself. That's like, oh, I know I can do this. This is something that's in my wheelhouse. This isn't my first time doing this. I am very well equipped for this, even if you're not feeling well equipped for it. And that's just shit that builds over time. It's those little bastards that come out swinging, that just have electric stage presence, and they're just from the time they just step on stage, from the time they leave, it's when they're young. To me, it was always mind-boggling to see very young people who had their shit together and who could do all these things, and who was really good at what they did. And it took me a long, long time. It took me until at least
Yeah,
until my
because the
30s
more
to get to that.
yeah, because the more you do it, the more you kind of realize just how much all of that really takes. Just to be like a Prince level performer.
Man.
Like the it's the amount of detail that's put into that. It's just like, yeah, that is an absolute like giant machine and foolproof system. Where that's just like, a lot of those guys, they, every motion they make on a stage is intentional.
Yeah.
It's like down
Hell
to
yeah.
a science, but also like down to a passion as well. It's
Hell
like that
yeah.
kind of like letting go and feeling this, because that's like when I was really young starting to make music. It's just like you see someone performing, and you just, if they're doing the job well, you just see them as having the time of their lives,
Right.
which is infectious. That's what I've learned. And
Mm.
like even playing solo shows or even playing with my band, like we all have like this recent kind of agreement where it's like we just bring our best energy to the stage no matter what's going on before then, so that when we're making music, we're prepared and we make sure we're having a good time. Because if we're not having fun up there, or we're worried about something, or not, our head's not in the game, it doesn't have that infectious quality to it.
Yeah.
And there's so much put into that. It's just like you got to bring your A game, but also you have to bring your game face too, and feel like, I think I'm still doing this after 20 years, because whatever little amount of of fans, or like people that appreciate my music or come out to my shows, like that that means so much to me, and it makes me so grateful and makes me want to keep doing it forever on whatever level. And I think people, the performers that have that mindset where they have to have the best time possible in order for their fans to have the best time possible, is that's a number one right there.
Hmm. Yeah. And like, you know, being able to do that even when you haven't been having the best day, like maybe you've been driving all day and you got a flat, and some guy flipped you off and cut you off on traffic, and you had to drive the van. And hey, Reina, good to see you, welcome in. Oh, Reina, thank you for that sub. Look at you there. But like, thank you very much, Reina, and welcome. The Having terrible days, long, maybe you didn't eat dinner because you had to race to the venue and get there just in time for maybe a sound check, but more likely it's going to be a line check, and everything is going against you. Still being able to, reach within and like pull out that whole, um, a good show, and project that you're having a good time, because but being able to sort of lose yourself in the moment and learning how to do that. I mean, it's almost like a meditation in a way, like just
Absolutely is a meditation.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you meditate at all? Are you into meditation?
Um, not like in a not in a practice sort of way, but I think I naturally do a lot. Probably talking to myself is part of that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That is part of it, right?
Yeah.
That is part of how you sort of think and expound on ideas, or even clear your mind.
Yeah, the few times I've had friends have little meditation sessions with me, and I'm always like, wait a minute, I do this all the time. I just didn't know it.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I think, well, part of that is, part of that, like that wheelhouse of things you should know for like, because it, for me, one thing I've learned in my 30s is being early to everything just makes everything so much better.
yes, it
It's like I've never really like been late to a show time, but I've definitely been late to shows before in my
yeah,
20s, and that is such a shitty feeling.
it
And
is.
it's just immediately you're just you're not going to be in the mode if you're rushed. So I love to get there super early, uh, get a little food, walk around, get set up. I have my whole little system of things I want to have just right because I'm a little OCD. I've learned I have to feed my band. Don't want hangry
No,
bandmates.
you don't. You don't.
And then on the flip side, I've experienced myself hangry too. So it's like sometimes I forget to eat. So
Well, and that's part of it too, right? Like,
little rituals. You have to have your little rituals.
yeah, like, and if you misstep on any of them, it can kind of throw you off.
Yeah.
Which can also, which my therapist would say, oh, so you're setting yourself up for failure. Is that what you're doing? I was like, no, but if I don't do these things, then it's going to be a bad time. She's like, well, sometimes you're not going to be able to do all those things, and you're still going to have to go through life and be, a human being, and not some maniac, yelling at walls. You got to, like, sometimes you're not going to be able to. Oh, there he is. There's Naders. What up, Naders? Uh, Sometimes you're not going to be able to get all those things in, and do your rituals. And so, sometimes you got to sort of, push past that, and that's hard too. I love that you like getting to the venue early. I wish that was one of my better qualities. I like to get there early as fuck, but like when you're working with people, I toured a lot with like a reggae band, and there's just a bunch of stoner boners, just like, we can stop at fucking, McDonald's, and then we gotta go over here, and then we gotta do this. And it's like, let's just get to the fucking venue, bro. And when I was like really, when I first started traveling with them, I didn't smoke weed. I was super straight edge. I didn't do anything. I wasn't even eating carbs. I wasn't drinking caffeine or anything. So it was just like, I was just very much just like, we gotta get there. We gotta do our thing. What the fuck's going on? It's frustrating, but then you also, yes, Naders, get your smoke
Yes.
on, baby. But it's whatever. I don't know. Like, how do you, when you do, if you do miss a ritual, and I don't know if you, I mean, you seem like you're pretty on the ball, but if you do miss like a
Oh, no,
certain,
I'm pretty good.
well, I
I
mean,
try.
well,
Well,
it seems like you
part of
take your
that, I
job
mean, I make
professionally.
sure I get there early so I can go find the parking lot and smoke then, you know.
Even then, like, but like if
try
you
to
do,
be try to be a try to be a an on the ball weed guy.
well, that's which is yeah. I mean, weed gets a bad rap, right?
Right. Trying to
These
fight
fucking
the
stoner boners give weed a bad name because there's a
yeah.
lot of highly motivated potheads out there who are fucking just killing the game, and you know what I mean. So, but it's those lazy assholes who are like still in their mom's basement playing fucking Call of Duty well into their 40s and eating Cheetos and Slurpees and just that fucking and cussing at little kids in Korea. You know what I mean? There's a difference between someone who's motivated and smokes weed and then someone who sort of just identifies and wraps their whole identity as like, I'm a fucking stoner and this is what I do and I live that life, which you can do both. But there's some, I mean, I still know people. I'm almost 40, and I still know kids, or kids, they're not even fucking kids. They're fucking middle aged. I still know people who are just sort of sitting around smoking weed and not doing shit. So it's like, I don't know. Those people give weed a bad name because I feel like I'm a highly motivated person and well I've just taken a step back from weed, but I don't know when you miss a ritual, how do you go forward if you do miss a ritual and not just I can't smoke, I don't have enough time to get high, but like if
Right.
you do miss, like if you do get there like at the last minute, is there something, do you what do you do? I mean, does it fuck you up for the rest of the show, or do you sort of push through? How do you handle something like that?
Man, you really got to roll with it. Whatever, you
Mm.
just got to be ready for anything. And I think I've I'm pretty fortunate in the sense that it would take a lot of things going wrong for me to not be able to perform at all.
Yeah.
Because if the sound all crashes or if the power goes out or if it rains, I can just unplug my guitar and play acoustic, which I've done multiple times. I played this festival in Williamsburg, Virginia this past summer, and there was just this downpour. Fortunately, we had an awning over us, but we had to unplug, and everybody was about to shut down the festival, and we just played unplugged, and so they kept it going. It was great, you know. But but yeah, it's just, you know, it's there's just a million things that can and do go wrong,
Yeah.
or that don't get, or just you think you're going to be to the venue on time and you get caught in traffic or just whatever. Like there's that's life, you know. So,
It is. You gotta know
but
when to hold them, know when to fold them.
yeah, and just, you know, also like realizing that no matter what, you have to do your best when you're there. It's like, you know, performing the rituals beforehand usually does make it flow easier,
Mm.
but you know, either way, you just got to show up and do the thing.
Yeah, professional. You gotta
You
do the
just get
damn
to that
thing.
mode where it's just like you go through your freak out about it for a minute, and then it's just like, all right, it's showtime. You know, it's like now you just got to do it.
Cooley always
Oh,
delivers. Hulker JD, that must be one of your
yeah,
people.
Justin, what up, man?
Justin, welcome in, Justin. Thank you so much. And Hulker, and we'll call you
Another Ohioan.
Ohio. Ohio. Dude, there's something about Ohio right now, where like Ohio has just become that meme now. It's like only in Ohio. I saw this video of a whole building burning, and they're like, meanwhile in Ohio, and I was like, wait, where in Ohio did this happen? It was the burning building in China that set off all the protests going on out there right now. But I was, or it's just like whenever anything horrible happens, it's like only in Ohio. I think it's funny. I happen to like Ohio. It's not the worst place to be. I definitely enjoyed my freedom during the pandemic. I'll tell you that. But you know, I don't know. Ohio gets a bad rap, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad. It's
Well, I lived in Ohio during the pandemic.
yeah. Oh, where at?
I was in Yellow Springs,
Oh,
and
where Dave Chappelle
yeah,
lives.
yes, I was right down the road from Dave. It was
Nice.
wild because he was having all these crazy parties during the
That's
pandemic. Nobody
right.
else anything was locked down.
That's right. I forgot he was having full on
Yeah,
comedy shows.
Dave Letterman was walking around town, and the guy that played Steve Urkel. It was pretty bizarre. But yeah, I've had
That's
my little times with Ohio. It's definitely a beautiful place.
yeah.
I got inspired by a lot of like night walks in the woods with my neighbor during the pandemic. We just it's like just what we did. There was nothing else to do. Just walk in the woods for hours
What
in
the
the
fuck
dark.
else is there, man?
Yeah.
You gotta figure it out. No, the pandemic was a weird thing, man. Like the pandemic sort of changed how I thought about music. It changed my relationship with music because before the pandemic, I was full time music, hustle, hustle, music, hustle, tour, hustle, hustle. And then as soon as the pandemic hit and you get 2 years into like being with my family and sort of figuring out a different way through music to do things, it's we're the new Florida, man. You're right, Naders. I just got that. We are the new Florida. Ohio is the new Florida, man. uh but it was like this whole, it changed my whole relationship with it. And like now I have no want to really just hustle, hustle, hustle. I went and got a job, which I really like. I really like my job, although I want to get back to focusing more on what I'm doing here. But like my podcast, like I like during the pandemic, I was able to sort of grow this podcast out really well. And you know, and I love doing this, and I still play music here on Twitch, and I still play shows here every once in a while, which that whole consistency thing really does matter because I just played this festival back in September and I just ate the biggest pile of shit as like a live performer. Like I can be on Twitch and just do whatever, but like in front of a crowd on a big stage, I was just eating shit, and it wasn't my proudest moment as a musician. But hey, you know, getting back in the swing of things. But I don't know. How was your relationship? Did it change your relationship with the hustle mentality, or did it change, or did it make you hustle more? Like what? Did the pandemic change how you view your relationship with music? And if so, how?
Oh man, in infinite ways.
Mm,
I mean, just like, uh, I feel like the pandemic pretty much transformed everybody in these little different ways. Even
right.
just people working from home,
Mm,
which musicians do a lot of work from home too, whether they've got a day job or not. You know, it's
right.
just like we're on our computers a lot more than our guitars sometimes. You know,
For real.
but but yeah, it's kind of like yeah, the, it was just really trippy, man, going through those 2 years. And it was a really weird time in my personal life, too. I didn't expect to wind up in Ohio. I was,
No one does.
but that's a long story. But yeah, I mean, I basically, like, towards the end of the pandemic, I went through a divorce.
Oh
Uh,
shit.
I, there was just all this personal stuff. And through that, like, I had also, like, not being able to play shows and do what I feel like naturally born to do felt really weird for me. The live streams kind of saved me
Yeah.
because it was just even when I didn't want to do it because I knew I was doing it every week, that I would just pull myself up off my bootstraps, and it kept me practiced, it kept my chops,
Yeah.
and it also, yeah, just the condition of the world, the condition of my personal life, and all of it was just this kind of just this big dark cloud for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And through that, I've always I usually get saved by a song eventually, and
Hmm.
I started writing these songs, and I've been writing here and there through the pandemic, but I hadn't really been. I had kind of just like lost my own confidence in my art, and just kind of lost my way with everything for a while. And so I started writing these songs that were really kind of brutally honest to my situation, but also like really, I just knew they were really good, and so I was blessed with that, with a kind of a reawakening with songwriting that kind of turned into recording my own stuff. And that is the number one thing the pandemic has done with my music, is that it's completely changed the way that I go about things with my own personal system. Because I've always, like when I was a little kid, when I was like 15, making recording my first albums.
Yeah.
I would be on a little digital recorder and play all the instruments and come up with these parts that were in my head, and they were all, they were not the best music in the world, but it was like, that was how I first started doing things. And then I started going into studios and working with producers and going down that road, and that is not a cheap road.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
So session musicians and all of that, and so I made a lot of recordings in studios, and then I started writing these songs during the pandemic. And it was just, even at that time, it just felt like a little risky to even go into a studio and sing into a microphone. I had started working with this guy that was in Dayton, that had a studio, and I came out for a couple sessions for a friend out there, and I was going to record these songs with him, and then I wound up back here in Virginia. So I had all these songs, and I was like, I'm going through this time, like how am I gonna, how am I gonna keep myself tethered in any way? I've got, like, the only thing that's gonna save me is to record these songs. So honestly, I started messing around with GarageBand, which I still use. I have not upgraded on purpose because it's so utilitarian. Yeah. And it's, to me, it's not like about plugins or that kind of thing, as much as it is just capturing something, a really great take in a room, in a quiet room. And so I'm out here in the country in Virginia, and it's complete quiet in the area where I grew up with. I'm on the Rappahannock River out there behind me, and it's just right in nature, whereas nature's just a place where I feel at peace. And so I just, my buddy Chris was like, you need to pull a Bon Iver and just like record your breakup album in the woods. Right, damn it, I'm gonna try. So so I just started recording at home, and like, it's been this complete reawakening for me in so many ways, because it's this, I get to actually, I can play pretty much everything, so I get to actually flesh out the parts that I want to hear and take the time into it that I want to, without worrying about being on an hourly rate or whatever. I can just roll out of bed and record a song and not release it till it sounds right to me. And so like, since then, I like in 2022, I released 18 songs that were self-produced, and I'm really proud of all of them, which is really nice, because former records I'd make with, in studios or whatever, they would not necessarily even be finished, because I just would run out of money, or just have to wrap it up, or they ran out of time, so like, all of that just kind of like swirled into this kind of rebirth, is for like how I make music, how I record music, how I release music, how I base, planning a tour around a release or anything like that. It's just, I'm in complete control of it now. Like, I don't have any middle person to go through. And it's made me able to hustle in a different way post-pandemic that I wasn't able to do before as much. It's like, I've always been a prolific songwriter, but as far as content, as far as albums or videos or whatever, it's like, when I have the money to spend that on something that's cool, great. But in the meantime, I'm really enjoying the DIY aspect, where I can just make a silly music video at home or record my album in my bedroom. And it's been a game changer, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, so Forest and the Circus Rolls On, those were both done in your on your DIY setup there, your home
Yeah,
studio.
recorded right here. Got
And
my dad's 1962 drums behind me. I don't even know if you can see them, but yeah, and that was the cool thing too. Is I've been playing. I predominantly play everything on these recordings myself.
oh yeah.
But for the Circus Rolls On EP, I had my dad come in for a drum session on Father's Day,
Oh.
and actually some of his drum parts are my favorite parts of the EP. And it was just like really cool because Dad, both of my parents have been very encouraging of my creativity and 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 pursuing my dreams just from day one. My mom was an art teacher and a journalist for wildlife magazines, and my
Hmm.
dad wound up being my high school principal, which is why.
That's
But,
always comfortable.
but my dad's secret passion was always music, and he knows how to play a little guitar and drums. And when I was really young, he was playing this Buffalo Springfield song and invited me to jump on the drums. And I was like, "You got something, Shane. You should keep doing this." And
Wow.
so, my dad from day one, for his 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 friend that worked at the bus garage, who was this incredible bass player, uh, had us over to his home studio when I was like 13. And I just remember the excitement of driving up with my dad. Like, we'd be ready for the session. He'd have his little reel to reel, and we'd record it with a drum machine. Bass man would lay on this fat bass line, and we would ride home and listen to the cassette tapes of the recordings and just be like, "This is so cool." So, like, yeah, it's just like being able to do this stuff at home and doing it on my own terms. Like, it becomes more special. It's just like I have field recordings of the birds that are out on the river, or different nature sounds on a lot of these songs. That just, or sometimes I'll be mixing on my porch, and like an osprey or some bird will start calling, and I'll just click record and capture it right there. It's just, it gives everything this organic quality and room to breathe. And I had my friend Lori Ellen, who's a singer songwriter from Austin, who's also in my band, stop by and do some harmonies on the Circus Rolls On. And it's just like, where it's just so completely my baby, but I also, like, the people that I bring into it are like just absolute family.
Hmm.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love the whole DIY thing. I mean, I'll go into the studio once in a while, like, but for the most part, anything that I release, well, now that I release as a solo artist, like anything I do now is all just on my laptop, and it's like, it's just I'm not paying anybody for shit. Like, yeah, I can do all of it. I can mix and master too.
Technology
Oh,
has gotten strangely good enough where you kind of can in so many ways. And
yeah,
but in my case, I record and mix everything myself, but I
nice.
I get my stuff mastered by Kevorkian Mastering. This guy Fred Kevorkian, the doctor.
The doctor.
And I've been working with him since I was 18, and he's worked with everybody. I mean, Willie Nelson, Jerry Garcia, you
Wow,
name it. So, and he gets really excited about it. Or he's very passionate about it. So,
that's
you know,
beautiful.
uh,
No, I
he'll call.
mean,
Say, Shane, I think that I want to put the tape master on this.
and you're like, yes, I think that you should. Yeah. Well, because I mean, that tape master is beautiful, man. Like,
Oh,
it's
yes.
just so warm and rich. Like,
He
it def.
sends me both. Lately, he'll send me both options, and it's just like a no-brainer. It's definitely the tape.
Yeah, man. There's nothing like that tape saturation to sort of get your dick licked. What? Your dick big? I meant dick big, but I said dick lick. But whatever, same thing. It's great. Uh, well, the so like you're sort of yeah, no, Nate. So you were mentioning that you're starting to write songs that are a little bit more. I'm not saying silly, but just fun and stuff. Because like that was something that I definitely noticed when I was listening through your catalog is that the difference between Forest and the Circus Rolls On is, there's a big difference in what you're saying and how it sounds, how it feels.
Yeah.
So, so when you hear like the album Forest and then you listen to like, Triceratops or I was just like, this is interesting.
Dichotomy.
Oh,
Well,
oh,
that's
well,
what I like to keep it interesting for myself, man. It's always like I always like to especially now that I'm producing music on my own,
mm,
like I put a lot of thought into that where it's like, all right, the last project I did has this vibe to it. So what kind of vibe is going to be the fresh one, you know? And
mm, you,
it's almost just like filling in like these little holes. It's kind of how I write songs too, where it's like, if I've got been writing a bunch of sad songs lately, then I'll know, okay, the next one's got to be a rocker or whatever.
hmm.
And I kind of apply that too now to not only within projects, but like between projects too, where, yeah, like Forest, is, I mean, I've listened to it a couple times on the vinyl, which, by the way, probably a good time to
Yes, I was gonna say because Nader's just mentioned it. He's like, he said, gotta love good vinyl, and Shane actually just released his album. Forest on album, and it's a beautiful album. Like I could tell. Like the thing is that you can hear just like how you sing, how you turn a phrase. You can hear that it's something that you've been doing for a long time, and and that's what threw me off so much about Triceratops because it's fun, right? But it's not. I'm not trying to say one thing's better than the other at all. That's not what I'm trying to get at. But it was just such a different thing because the first thing you sent me was the Circus Rolls On, I believe, and because that was your latest EP, and so that was the first thing I sort of went and listened to, and then once I started digging into your back catalog, I was just like, holy shit! Like this dude has been doing this for a long time. And then you find out you've been writing since you're a young kid, and it just sort of. I don't know. It just that's one of the things that strikes me. Like and this is not a comparison, but like you can really hear it in like singers like Conor Oberst, right? Like from Bright Eyes, like you could just tell that that dude's been writing poetry, writing music, writing songs for a very long time, and it's just something that comes natural and second nature. And just in that headspace is where I'm coming from. And we got a question from the chat from Two Coats. Um,
Oh,
it,
look out for two coats.
Watch out for Two Coats. Naders wants to know the asking price for the vinyl. It
So
look
the vinyls, that's a good question. So they're $30 and they're on Bandcamp. You can
here.
get
I'll
them
drop a. I'll
at
drop a link.
bandcamp.com. And
I'm dropping.
there's also I'm doing these holiday merch bundles where you get like a bunch of other stuff too, like the CD of the circus and some bracelets and a Christmas ornament that's handmade and all
Oh
sorts of good.
shit!
So yeah, y'all should definitely check that out on Bandcamp. And the deadline to order that for Christmas gifts is the 14th. So
There you go. And I just dropped the link in the chat. And if you're listening to this on audio, make sure you go into the show notes and click around. It's the Bandcamp thing and check it out. So Two Coats, which I love the name, is Shane. Shane is from Virginia. That Shane is from Virginia. Are you from Virginia?
I am from Virginia. He knows that. That's my drummer, Abraham. What's up, babe?
Is that
And,
where he was?
and Two Coats is he stole that from me because that's my rapper name.
Two
So
Coats.
we got beef. Two Coats. I'm allergic.
Tommy Two Coats, son. Oh my god! Wait, is that where you were bornks? Is that where he was bornks? Listen, so you're a rapper too?
only when I'm talking to myself.
Yo,
Or
fucking.
when I'm getting in rap battles with Abe.
Nah, he's lying. Did you ever have you ever released anything with you rapping, or is that not really what you do?
That's a bucket list pipe dream that
Ooh,
I do. It might be coming one of these days. But I also have a really good homie, Scotty Galaxy, who's a good rapper. So
Scotty
I might
Galaxy.
just get him to do it.
Scotty Galaxy. I love that name, by the way. That's an amazing name. Scotty Galaxy.
I know a few characters.
Wait, you end up collecting a lot of weirdos in this business, man. Which weirdos in the most
Best
loving
part.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like it's like the Muppets, you know.
Animal, yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
No, I feel that though. Like and you know what, man? I wouldn't want it any other way. Like normal people just don't do it for me. Like the fucking civilians just don't do it for me anymore. Like I really,
Yeah.
I just like I don't mind talking to just small talk and stuff, but like to really like get to know somebody and to like bond with somebody, it really takes, especially as I get older and I'm more emboldened in my family and what I'm doing, because I just I only do a couple things and everything else is just like bleh, I don't care. Like I'm not going out and partying and I'm not doing hanging out and carousing and shit. Like I hang out with my family and I'm in my laptop working on this. So it's hard for me to really relate to people who aren't really on that mindset. Except for
Oh yeah.
naders. I can relate to naders, and the lovely people in this community, of course. But I don't know. Do you find yourself in the same shoes, or are you? I mean, you're a front
Oh
man, so
yeah.
you kind of gotta like be able to connect with everybody. Whereas I'm a background player, but I don't know. I interrupted you.
That's a really good question because it kind of goes back to me being shy too.
Mm.
Where like I feel like just in general, I've gotten a little better at connecting with people and being able to interact with a way that like where you can like it's just you're right there. It's stuff I've known all my life. You ask the right kind of questions to get people interested in something or whatever. Like to get them to talk about themselves, but
Yes.
it's my social skills just aren't the best. I'm very weird. I go out alone a lot and like sit in corners and it's like I'm just a weird guy. So like
You're just
I think
observing.
it's not so much of can I tolerate normal people as how much normal people can tolerate me.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think
If
that's
I'm not
more.
around a bunch of weirdos, I feel even more like an alien. Like it's just like I imagine myself now just walking around with antennae. I'm just like a space alien wherever I go. It's like greetings,
Yeah,
Earthlings.
take me to your leader.
Yeah,
No.
take me to your parties.
Yeah, take me to your parties. Oh wait, you're an only child. Okay, so my son's an only child, and I'm trying to figure out how this is gonna go. Do you feel like you were cheated on anything by not having siblings?
You know, Not really, man. Like I feel like I lucked out.
Really, really, in which way?
Yeah, I mean I've got really great parents, and I've never had to like. I don't know. I think the only way like I guess sometimes I kind of wonder like how like what I don't understand like the sibling dichotomy as
Hmm.
much because I've never experienced that, but I've never been like, oh, I wish I had a sister or brother.
Hmm.
I think the only thing that's like interesting with that is like getting older through life and like realizing like it's like I can bounce all ideas off of my parents or whatever, but like not having that like that other like level of like being able to talk life stuff with people. I don't know. Um, but I like being alone a lot. Like sometimes I get like when I start talking to myself too much, or I'm just like bouncing off the walls, or I realize like I'm a social creature too. Like
Hmm.
I am a people person. I love to be around people and people watch and as a big part of my songwriting is observing.
Yeah.
You know, it's just letting things subconsciously seep in from what people do or talk about. And so but I also, that's kind of why it's so nice to be here in Virginia where I am right now, because I go down to Texas where I lived in Austin for like 7 or 8 years.
I
And I
love that
still am
city.
down there. So I go down there and I play a lot. I do month-long tours and stints and go on other tours, which it's nice to be. This is like touring it. That's a whole other road to go down. Which I love touring and I've missed touring, but but it's like, man, is that a lot to put together?
It's so much.
But
it's so much.
Yeah, but yeah, but then like having this home base too, where I can go and get in touch with myself and be a hermit, lone wolf, weirdo. And because sometimes I think even with some of my close friends or whatever, like I think some people can only take me in certain doses for whatever reason. Like I don't know if I'm just completely crazy or just like I'm just an odd duck for whatever reason. I'm just very eccentric and I think because I've spent a lot of my time alone, like I'm not as self-aware sometimes or something. I don't know, but I've also learned it's like I can only take people in small doses too, to the point where like I just need to sometimes just walk around my living room alone and be freaky and talk to myself. I'll naked if I want, you know.
Fucking
like,
A.
I think everybody needs that to a degree, you know. Like,
absolutely.
You know, it's you know, alone time, me time. It's like it's important, you know. It's a big part of my self-care, you know.
Well, no, and that's good that you realize that, because some people, you know, they don't ever take the time to think about that, or ever take the time to be alone, or take the time to, you know, to self-reflect in that way.
We're terrified of that.
You're terrified of that?
Some people are.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's you know, and that's fine too. It's just that I don't know. It's some people just don't come equipped with the tools to sort of like figure that out. But you know, I'm the same way. It's like I can go out, be social, be cool, hang out, and do all that, but I have to retreat back to my whole. Even, you know, even with my family, it's like I love being around my family, but even then I have to sort of like separate myself and go into the other room, and just, even if it's just me scrolling through TikTok or something, it's just like I just sort of need to like go over here and just be that for a little bit, because it's just
a big
important.
part of it. It's like you gotta get yourself right before you can be good for other people. You know, it's
absolutely. That's part of my mantra, man. It's like love yourself, you know, before you can love anyone else.
Selfish a lot, but it's really the opposite. It's just like you just gotta, whatever it takes to make you your best self so you could be your best self for other people. You know.
Hell yeah. And that's why Naders will never have a roommate. I feel you. It's like going to Walmart at midnight. Always some shit. Yeah, bro. Walmart at midnight. It's fucking cultural center. Okay, so Two Coats has another question. You graduate with an English degree? That's I like I like how you phrase your questions, Two Coats. You graduate with an English degree?
Like, I think he's trying to avoid commas because I just proofread a paper for him.
Dude, I suck at that shit too.
Now you can see why he might need a little bit of grammatical checkup.
It's like, get this man an English major.
Yeah, but yes, I did graduate with an English degree from William and Mary, which is the second oldest university in the nation. And
really? Wow.
Yeah.
Where's that at?
That's in Williamsburg, Virginia. And
okay.
I was just there visiting the other day, and it's just a beautiful campus. I had a really weird time there. College was extremely weird.
Why?
Man. I was really, you know, I was already like going strong with the music thing by the time I had hit college, and I was just very much like, you know, balls to the wall, wanting to get my music out there and play college shows and formed a band and did all the things I wanted to do. And but there's this. It's like I loved my experience there because it really inspired me in a lot of ways, and also just like the quality of the education there and the professors and everything. It's just like, you know, like some of my English professors really helped shape me as a writer and a reader and everything. And but it was really weird because the some of the like upperclassmen bands are like just for like people were jealous of me, to be honest. It was really like, and I didn't understand it. And I was like, I'm just this like young gun freshman. Like, what's your problem? Like, but like it became really extreme to the point where like people would write these like bogus, like students would write these bogus blogs about me, or like student publications had like these really like atrociously kind of kind of gritty, untrue like tabloid articles about me. Like people would show up and like stare at, like crowds would show up to shows and stare at me and not applaud and just like glare at me. Like it was like weird little things like that happened throughout like my college career. Like
wow, that's strange.
I still don't understand it all the way. I think, and then it became a thing where it really went to like it kind of I got in my head about it, and I just like felt like everybody was like out to get me. But it was really strange.
Well, and you
Not
were
that big of a school either, so it's just
yeah.
like, like I'd be like sitting next to some guy in English class and like see some like snarling blog review of one of my albums that he posts or something. I'm like,
Wow,
just
that's
crazy.
that.
But my response to that, and I'm still proud of myself for how I responded to this, was because kind of the last straw for me was there was this like campus talent showcase that would happen every semester, and they had auditions and they would pass me before and I would play, and I auditioned one time and they didn't I didn't pass the audition, just pretty obviously because they just like didn't like me. So like what I did in response was I signed up for the audition under an anonymous name and formed a mock metal band with my buddies that never rehearsed, and our only rule was to be as obnoxious and loud as possible. So we showed up to this audition, and I had like one fishnet stocking on and a rubber chicken duct taped around my nether area and a pig mask on, and we just sang like this really raunchy version of the Name Game about the guy who was the. Anyway, the bloggers then started writing about that and referred to me as a musical terrorist group.
Oh my god.
I just had so much fun just crashing. There were several like campus events that this metal band just crashed and just I did things on stage that I would never have before, never since would be able to do.
Wait, were you exposing yourself? Like, what are you doing?
No, not quite that.
Oh, too bad.
Just full on, like we were inspired by Gore, if that's any indication.
I love Gore.
Just like that kind of scene. But
like chopping off of heads and stuff.
On stages there, like fake blood, I think. But I even got I got one time after one of our the name of the band was Choking Pig. After one of our Choking Pig shows, the campus police pulled us over because I had yelled oink at some guy on a bicycle out the window, and became this whole thing, and they made me like get out of the car and searched me while I was in my full like pig get up.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely.
Wow. So to answer your question about why college was weird.
Okay, I like, and I'm not trying to say anything about you, but do you feel like that I mean, as a young guy, I kind of carried, I don't know, I didn't have a chip on my shoulder, but I thought I was way cooler than I really was. And I think that happens especially in young people and young men especially. You know, you're fucking young, dumb, full of cum, and you're just ready to fucking take on the world. Do you feel like maybe that you came off maybe arrogant in some ways, or
Totally.
okay.
That is what everybody said about me. Is I
Ah.
was like for myself and arrogant, and it's like. But what was weird for me was that it was just like these people would never actually like talk to me or have a conversation with me. And it's just like
Mhm.
back then I like maybe you wouldn't be able to tell from the running around in a pig mask, but when I wasn't in Choking Pig, I was definitely very shy in college. You know,
Mm.
I was a freshman. You know, it's
Um,
like, but that I think that's happened to me my whole life
mm.
is that people will misconceive that kind of thing about me because I'm withdrawn or more soft spoken or whatever. Or I'm just in my head, and but or maybe like because I go on full on with the music and the performing and getting my putting myself out there because I know no one else is going to do that for me at this point.
Yeah.
Still aren't.
Hell
So like
no. Hell
so
no.
yeah, there is kind of a dichotomy with that where like I think people expect something else from when they see see me on stage or hear a song or see a video and then actually meet me. It's but in the cases of my classmates, they were in my class. They had every opportunity to meet me.
Right, right.
They were just like would blog about me
Well,
later.
like pretty girls get this a lot, right? Like, or even pretty people, I suppose, in general. But like a lot of like pretty girls will get that, like where people are almost intimidated by their beauty, and maybe they're just shy, but they'll just be like, oh well, she's just a bitch, because she don't talk to nobody and she thinks she's better than everybody. But it's really they're shy, and also maybe they come off a little intimidating because of whatever energy they're putting off, or
Oh,
beauty,
sure.
or I
Well, I
mean,
think that gave me like a really good taste of like if of what like success or fame would be like, just like a minute on a minuscule level, but
mm,
like the really like ugly side of that, where it's just like where I mean, since I was 13, I've always pretty clearly wanted to be famous. That's
mm,
like part of the deal in my mind since I was young. It's like oh yeah, that's going to happen, sure,
mm.
but it hasn't, and in so many ways, like I still would that would be still would be cool, but in so many ways, I'm grateful it hasn't happened at this point
Mm.
because like it's taken me a long time to learn like how to like be a semi-functional person, to know what it takes to have my rituals, to be able to take some time alone or whatever, and like privacy being a very important thing to me. So like I couldn't imagine just like not being able to have any of that privacy, or just like have a bad morning where you rolled out of bed the wrong way and someone puts a microphone in your face and like all of a sudden you're the biggest asshole in the world.
It's like, yeah, go fuck yourself. I just woke
Yeah.
up, bitch. It's like, oh. No, yeah, I feel that to the extreme. I don't know. I mean, as a young person, I mean, like me as a young person, I mean, first of all, I was like a drug addict. Like my whole 20s were just me being a drug addict. I didn't even realize I was just partying. But
Right.
it wasn't until I got sober that I was actually able to realize that, I was just running away from a, excuse me, I was just running away from a lot of just those feelings, and just being anxious and shy and all that kind of stuff. And you just
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
masking these things. So I couldn't imagine what being put on like TV or on a front page of a magazine or on a website. I mean, I feel so bad for people like Britney Spears, who, like, from a child, I mean, even till now, I mean, my God, like I follow Britney Spears on Instagram, and it's an amazing, it's amazing. She's out there with her fucking big crazy eyes, which I adore the girl. But I was definitely one of those people back in the day who were just like fucking dumb bitch, like cutting your hair off, you crazy bitch, like all those awful things
Oh
that
yeah.
But now.
And I remember when Brittany shaved her head. It's just like it's just like we almost go through these things with her in some
It's
weird
true.
way. Yeah.
And she just had to do it in public. The poor girl, like she really fucking, she really did give her life, and whether she wanted to or not, to entertaining people. And Michael Jackson's another one, right? Like, who just was trapped by his fame. He's just this incredible talent that couldn't be contained, and also, nobody. I mean, no one could ever know what that is to be in his shoes, and he was just
Yeah.
literally isolated in this world that that he was sort of.
I think to be that kind of artist in general, it's just like I feel like an alien all the time. You're already kind of isolated in your own way, whether you're famous or not.
Yeah.
And just like the way you operate, you're just just on a day-to-day basis. It's just like, famous or not, Michael Jackson could never be a normie.
Yeah, he's not holding it up. He's
Like, not
definitely
in
not
the
holding it
card.
together like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I couldn't see Michael Jackson working in insurance, right? Like
Right.
in the cubicle. Hello, hello. So, can I talk to you about your car insurance? Yeah, that'd be weird, but it happens how it happens, and it's nice to see when people can kind of come on the other side of that as more of a whole person. Although it's harder now, as culture has changed a lot. I mean, me and you we're kind of the same. I mean, you're a little younger than me, but like, I'm sure you remember a time when you could sort of make more mistakes in public, or and you'd be, it'd just be like, oh, I made a mistake. Now it's sort of, even people now who aren't even famous, if you say something weird on Twitter, it's like, well, now you don't have a job,
Oh,
because
it
so
has changed so drastically. And
it's
yeah, just in music alone,
it's
just
hard to
from
be weird like in
the time
public
that I've
now.
been making music, like just just the it's just all totally changed. And some of that's better too, like,
Hmm?
or just like, I don't know, I think when I was starting to do this, even in the early 2000s or whatever, it was still the kind of like 70s, 80s, 90s mentality of like, you have to be really fucked up all the time to be doing
Right.
this. Or it's just like everybody just Britney Spears, it's just like, where it's just like, it was almost like cool to be a shit show, like
Right.
that was your publicity,
Yeah.
that was your publicity campaign. And like, I think there's been a lot of like really hard extremes with that over the past few years. I think people need to lighten up about a lot of things. Like it's just, I call it neo-puritanism, where it's
Hmm.
it is almost a flip side, where it's just like, it's I don't think it is really cool to be a shit show anymore. I don't think other people think that as much either. And like, but like, yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating to be doing this over multiple decades and to see the changes like that.
Yeah.
And where or just like the idea of like celebrity used to be something very like lofty and unattainable, gorgeous people in Hollywood or whatever. And now we're in the era where it's just like everyone's their own celebrity. Everyone's just like looking at their own Facebook profiles and seeing how many likes they have, and
Yeah.
like, and so it's and on the flip side of that, what people want out of that, or want out of like an artist or a musician or whatever, is now totally different. They just want to, like, they want you to be a normal dude, or not, or like a weird normal like I don't know. It's just like, before, getting on like one of my favorite songwriters Instagram and like going on their live feed and like seeing them brush their teeth or something. It's just like that is so completely different than how things. It's just like there is no mystique anymore.
Yeah.
You know, there's no veil. It's like, you know, it's like everything's out there. It's really it's trippy. It really is.
Being called normal is about to be a good thing. You know, I have seen sort of that trend, and I've heard some people talking about how like people are even young people are starting to sort of drift back to like whatever they think normal is. Is like, you know, you're seeing a more Christian kids come back, you know, because right now if you're Christian you're racist, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to keep track of all this shit. And I'm not Christian at all, but I am seeing sort of this movement more towards like going back the other way of like becoming a little bit more conservative, whereas like, you know, and I applaud all this stuff where, you know, we're becoming more of an open society and we're becoming more acceptive of people and accepting, excuse me, and that's beautiful. I really do think that's great. But then it sort of goes in such a direction to where it's like, what is that called? The paradox of tolerance. I think that's what it's called, where you become so tolerant, eventually it becomes like a fascist state, right? Like it's like you become so tolerant of everything that
Yeah, it's
eventually
just like any other extreme, man. It's just
exactly.
it's like something that can initially and still be like a perpetuating like overall good thing still reaches a point where it becomes excess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like too much of anything can be bad.
And to the point now where you can't really say anything or criticize people or anything, or else you're an ist, you know, you're a fascist or a racist or whatever it is, the ist, you know, it's just becoming to that point where we're not allowed to sort of express ourselves anymore and how we truly feel. And you know, I'm not saying that we should be able to just blurt N slur and F slurs all over the place. Like that's not at all. But like critiquing somebody and then you get canceled because you critique somebody, you know, for instance, it's like this whole idea of being fat is okay and it's healthy to be fat. It's like I've been struggling with weight my whole life, and I know the how harmful it is for you to be carrying around. I have diabetes on both sides of my family. Like I come from a family of just like poor eaters and bad health, and and to see like everyone sort of embracing fat culture, and you know, I'm not saying people should be skinny because God knows I'm not, or healthy I should say, because skinny doesn't mean healthy, but this weird thing of us becoming tolerant of being unhealthy. And it's like I think Lizzo's a fantastic artist and I love, she's beautiful and all that good stuff, but I don't think it's necessarily healthy for her to be like, hey, be fat and that's cool. And like when I was a kid, I wish there was a fat girl on TV. And so it's like, okay, embrace your body, love who you are, but you should also be improving on yourself because you're gonna get fucking diabetes and die of heart disease. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
want Lizzo to go on.
I don't know. Lizzo's like the exception because she is like in great shape somehow.
Yeah, right. Like she works out. She has
Yeah.
personal trainers, but she's just like a big girl, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And you know, it's beautiful to see everybody sort of loving themselves, but there's a point to it. There's a point where it's like, well, how are you gonna love yourself when you're missing a foot because your diabetes took your foot? You know what I mean? Like it's hard to love yourself when you're cutting off appendages because bon
To the
bon.
extremes too. It's just like you know, trying to be too good to yourself, you wind up being bad to yourself. You know, it's just yeah. I think yeah, it's just all changed so much, and
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird to
yeah.
talk.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I consider myself to be a pretty unoffensive person as it is, but like it is kind of weird because it's like I don't, you know, sometimes I like don't think too much about what I'm saying or whatever, and it's like, you know, you never know when I'm gonna say something that you'll never see me again. Bye.
He's gone. He's out of here. No one listens to Shea Cooley anymore. He's not cool anymore. Uh, it's going good, Bon Bon. Welcome in. Good to see you. Two Coats. Do you find Yoko Ono attractive or average or below? Okay, let's condense that. Yoko Ono, smash or pass? Shane.
Smash.
Let's go.
But yeah. If I had to.
If it meant that I could be famous, yes.
Depends on when. No, just because, man, Yoko, she's so weird.
Oh, she's a weirdo.
Like, weird and crazy will always be my kryptonite. Fortunately.
Well, I mean, I feel that. I feel that so hard. It's like if it's weird and strange and other people are cringing, I'm just like, give me some more of that shit. I just hold on. I'm just trying to find maybe the worst Yoko Ono ever. When Yoko Ono made Chuck Berry super angry. Hold the fucking phone here. We're gonna have to do some.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
I don't. Hold on. Let me see.
I will say that her complete not giving a fuckness is inspiring.
Absolutely.
Just from documentaries, the Get Back documentary and all that. It's just like, you don't necessarily agree with everything that's going on, but what a character.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I love about that is that she's a character, right? She's I don't know, like again, like I see this and right, it's cringy, but I'm just like so fascinated by it. Like it's just it's striking some chord within that I just can't. I don't know, man. It's fucking. It's definitely one of those things I can relate to, and and this was considered high art, I think, right? Like at the time, like this was, or at least they were considering themselves high art. I mean,
right? Yes.
I can't get enough.
She's just getting it.
Same. What's up, brother? Welcome in, my friend. Where's hold on. I think that was the Chuck Berry one. Hold on.
Wait, no, there's another one that you're talking about. I've seen it. It's this one.
Yeah, because she's just sitting there playing all weird.
Yeah, Chuck definitely gets a little pissed.
This is my fucking moment. Here she comes. She's bringing out a microphone. Look at his eyes. Oh shit. They slowed it. Wait. And then she puts her microphone back. She puts her microphone back. Like it just keeps going like everything's cool.
The best part about that video, though, is if you keep watching through it, Chuck is like noticeably aggravated through most of it, but then he just kind of like surrenders and he's like, "You guys are just weird."
Oh, there you go.
He starts to dig it towards the end.
Well, see, I want the one where it's not just.
It's like, I'm gonna hang out with you guys after the show.
He's like, "What are y'all on?" Hold on.
Yeah.
So. Okay, hold on. This is the one that's not edited. She's like, "This is my moment." What the fuck?
Chuck is like, what the hell is going on?
I do want to see him get into it though. He's like, all right.
Yeah. He's like, all right, let's get freaky.
She's just. I like that they have. There he goes. I like that they have just two people on hand drums that are just playing on the one.
Oh, just amazing, man. Just to be a fly on the wall in that room.
Right.
Jeez.
Does she do another one? I mean, where's she?
I think that might be her only.
Her cameo.
Yeah.
Oh, here she goes. Wait,
Oh,
no.
yes, right. She goes off again.
Just make sure that her mic can hear her drum. Chuck.
I'm so glad you pulled up this video.
Well, I mean, Chuck. And the best part about Chuck Berry, of course, is that he was pissing on people and he was filming women in the toilet. So there you go. Chuck Berry, everybody. I'm getting a bus.
Would not be around. He would be releasing albums from prison like R. Kelly is.
R. Kelly, this motherfucking R. Kelly. Dude, hold on. Wait a second. Wait, hold on. You brought it up.
I heard you earlier. I couldn't help it.
I admit it. Let's see. The song itself is so fucking crazy. It is so crazy that what he's saying in it is so wild. Here's the. Oh shit. So if you guys don't know, R. Kelly released an album called I Admit It, I Did It. But it wasn't him who released it. It was some bootleg, apparently. That's what Sony says. And there's moments in the song where he's talking about, it's like, yeah, I older women, younger women. He like refers to pedophilia and shit. It is fucking wild, and I just want to hear it.
Jeez Louise. That documentary show about him
Surviving R. Kelly was wild.
Oh, that was so dark.
Tell you as much. I tell you much that would be happening if Ike Turner, King of the Backhands, was involved. Same old. Sometimes I can't read what you say. My question is, did he sing this shit into a toilet? Because I don't know any prison with a studio. No. So he released the album back in 2018, and Spotify and all these streaming platforms took it down because they said it violated their hate policy, which I don't know how it's hate, but it is gross. They singing about like banging little girls and shit. So I mean that's nasty, but there's. I mean, dude, I'm kind of into it. I'm not gonna lie, those fucking grooves are good, but he is a monster.
I admit I am not perfect. I never said I was perfect. Say I'm abusing these women. What the fuck, that's some absurd shit. They brainwashed, really? Kidnapped, really? Can't eat, really? Real talk, that shit sounds silly. And if you really, really wanna know, her father dropped her off in my show and told his boy to put her on the stage. I admit that she was overage. I admit that I was feeling her, and I admit that she was feeling me. I admit that that's just some shit that come with being a celebrity. I do get paid and get mad when it don't go your way. Win if I can't win with truth. She said, son, don't you lose. Girls that love me to pull their hair. And I admit they love me to talk dirty when they destroy me for 25 whole years. So someone else is watching. She must be turning over in her.
Okay. So I don't want to sit here and go through the whole album trying to find the part, but what was it? I admit it. We're just gonna go through the lyrics because it's fucked up. I admit it. Lyrics problematic. I don't know. No, I better not put that. I'll bring something else up. I admit it. I admit that I dropped out of school. I admit I have so many flaws. I admit I can't spell shit. I believe that, R. Kelly. Fucking R. Kelly was a genius, first of all. We'll just say that, but he's also evil.
Yeah. I know.
He's also a super evil person, so fuck that guy. But still, like, I'm sorry, Step in the Name of Love, get out of my face with that. That shit is amazing. Come on, where is it at? Where is it at? Where is it? Where is it? I admit. Where is it? God damn it. Do I have to find? Okay, hold on. We're finding it now. I'm obsessed. I'm sorry. You're on with us, buddy. I just want some articles about it. I admit it. I admit it. R. Kelly album taken off. All right, hold on. Yeah, we know that unauthorized bootleg. Is something? Is there a noise in your end that's doing stuff?
Is there what?
Is there like a noise that it sounds like something's like steam is going off?
Like a ticking or something?
No. Oh, it's fine. I'm not mad at it. You're good. I wasn't sure if it was coming from your end or my end.
Yeah, I have this noisy little Christmas light behind me.
Oh, you're good, brother. You're good. Freaky sensation. Come on, where is it? It's stolen music. One of these things, it's like so profoundly gross. It's like I fuck with older women, I fuck with younger women. He says something about like it's your opinion. Pedophilia is your opinion, and why does your opinion have to get in the way of you know what? I did a TikTok on it. We're just gonna go to TikTok, y'all, and then we'll get it straight from the source, me. Which is ridiculous, everybody. That is ridiculous. I'm sorry everyone has to deal with me like obsessing over this shit. But this is what's happening, y'all. Where is it? Oh yeah, here it is. And I don't really want to see. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is what it is. 2018 citing a new policy on hate content and hateful conduct. Now, this is the weird part. Part 2 actually goes into the allegations against him. The lyrics go, I admit, I F with all the ladies. That's both older and young ladies. Woof. But tell me how they call it pedophile, because that is crazy. You may have your opinions, entitled to your opinions, but really, am I supposed to go to jail or lose my career because of your opinion? Yes, actually, by some fan. Okay. That was silly. Anyways, that's the lyrics that we just spent all that time looking for, and of course, I had to go and be on my TikTok because I can't stay away from it. But I don't know, man. Like it's. I don't know, like fucking R. Kelly. Like what happened, man? Like what went wrong with that? And the fucked up thing is that we've all known this for years. I mean, Dave Chappelle had that whole sketch back in 2002 about him pissing on minors. So it's not like this wasn't known. It's just that socially it's changed to the point which in a good thing, this is a great thing, right? Because I think you even mentioned like a lot of this stuff is a good thing, right? Like we don't want people out there just molesting young children and getting away with it, and we don't want people out there just saying F slurs and stuff whenever they feel like it on Facebook or whatever. It's a good thing that we're not accepting that language. Even though I feel like, as you know, freedom of speech is like, if you want to say that, I guess that's on you, but it's not really great. It's not a great look. But
I think
people
ahead. Should be judged by their criminal actions as people, but not as artists.
That's a great way to put it, actually.
Because it's otherwise you're gonna hate everybody, man. It's just like, not that everybody's a monster, but but that you can probably find something unpleasant about everybody to capitalize on, but yeah, it's just like if somebody does something evil and wrong, and that's totally separate than like whatever their livelihood is or whatever.
Yeah, it is just strange thing. The other thing is too is like I'm not playing R. Kelly. Like I like R. Kelly and I like a lot of his music, but I've made a conscious decision not to like stream any of his music because I don't want him getting any money off of like I don't want him getting any of my money. That's what I'm saying. And so it's like a protest with my dollar. But if I'm at a wedding and Step in the Name of Love comes on, or I still believe, or I believe I can fly, whatever the situation is,
Right.
I'm not gonna be like turn this shit up. And in fact, after he got sentenced, it was interesting on TikTok. There was a whole R. Kelly challenge where people were dancing to R. Kelly. So it's such a strange. I think the weird thing is that that none of it really makes sense, and it only makes sense when it's useful for people. And again, I'm not trying to defend R. Kelly because obviously I think R. Kelly should be in prison. Fuck that guy. But there are
Yeah.
different situations where it's, this is acceptable here, but not over here. And then you can't do that here, but you can do that over there. And it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't follow any real patterns. You know what I mean? It's just,
And it does have a lot to do with like expression versus action too, where it's just like, there's lots of really like, I mean, that's part of expression is kind of pushing those boundaries where it's like, it'd be boring if you didn't bring up something that was a little extreme or a little, controversial or whatever, in your art, that's part of it is going outside the lines, but that's different than like your actions person, where it sounds like R. Kelly has brought both of those things together in one now.
yeah, like art and fucking crime is all one. No, I was just researching a story today about SZA, who is a Jamaican dancehall artist, who was there was this viral video going around where he was burning DJ Khaled's platinum plaques that he had been a part of, and Khaled's the record company sent SZA oh my god, it's SZA or Sliz, is it Sizzla, Jesus Christ. SZA is a girl, female R&B singer, but Sizzla, he was burning these plaques, and the story is that he was mad because his name was etched very small, right? And so he was like, fuck you, you disrespected Jamaica, you can't even see my name. And then you start digging into it a little bit, and Rastafarianism, I'm saying that all fucked up. Rasta, the idea of Rastafari, the religion, is not really accepting of the LGBTQ community. It's just not really a thing. And back in the 90s and maybe even the 80s, but I know for the 90s, in the early 2000s, there was a whole movement where like Buju Banton and Beanie Man and Sizzla were all sort of making this like murder the gays type music, like where they're literally saying like murder the gay people. And it got so extreme and to a point where they were losing money. And so they ended up signing this like reggae something thing. It was a petition they were petitioning to not use that kind of rhetoric in their music anymore and to be more accepting of homosexuals and the LGBTQ community. And that was just back in 2004, 2007. And so what ended up coming out, which no one's really talking about, is that there was a song he did with DJ Khaled. I think it was called Holy Mountain, that featured this American rapper named 070 Shane. What is it? Samo, can you save me on this one? You probably know. I'll just Google it. Fuck it. 070 Shake. Okay, so Shake is she dates girls. She said I'm not gay, I'm not queer or whatever. Yes, thank you. She signed Good Music before the music left. Oh, okay. She signed with Kanye's label. Okay, thank you, Samo. Look at that, Samo coming through again. So her name is 070 Shake, and she did the hook. She sang the hook on that song Holy Mountain, which featured Sizzla and I can't remember Modalvo, and so there's this Instagram live of one of his engineers who was like, listen, they're telling you all this stuff, and on the surface it looks one way, but Rastafari does not accept that, and you're sort of watering down this man's legacy and making it look like he accepts the LGBTQ community, which he apparently does, since he signed that petition back in 2007. And the real reason that he's mad was burning all like the plaque was because he was featured on a song with an LGBTQ member singing the hook. And that's sort of the weird thing that's getting left out of the conversation. And I'm not trying to hate on Sizzla, because even in hip hop and rap back in the day, it was, they were talking shit about the LGBTQ community crazily.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just, culture shifts and things change. But when it comes to like religion and stuff, it's hard to shake those things. And a lot of people don't like to talk about, the LGBTQ community will go after a lot of these people, these artists who might have said something on Twitter or whatever it is. But they definitely will leave out the Muslims, which in Muslim states and Muslim countries, you can be murdered. In Russia, you can be murdered. The Alphabet Mafia, yeah, and nothing. Again, I'm not hating on anybody here, because I love everybody, and I'm very happy that the LGBT community can feel comfortable enough to be themselves now, and be who they truly are. But it's just interesting when it's like it's okay here, but it's not okay here. We're just gonna look past this whole Sizzla thing, which I don't think anybody should bring it all back up again. Although I just did. It's just the hypocrisy of it, and it's just there's no pattern to it. It just seems like it's very manufactured in a way for manipulation or division. That's how I kind of feel. I'm sorry, I've just been talking at you, but it's this is what I'm like been mulling around lately, and I don't know.
Yeah.
How does that?
It's all fascinating, man. It's just
to me, it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's and how it can be like retroactive, and it's just
right.
And like you said, like the free speech thing, it's like that's where it's just like how can you actually get technical with that, or it's just like you kind of can say whatever you want to say with the repercussions that follow, but like it's like how are you going to stop people from expressing? Back to expressions and actions, It's just like, but like, yeah, I mean, there's so many levels with that too, where it's just like, if you think about like, the school shootings and, back Columbine, the immediately metal music was blamed, and
Marilyn Manson,
just like, yeah, where it's just this kind of, it's like, where do you where do you draw that line, where you're like, where you yeah, it's a tough one, man, because for that same Marilyn Manson song or whatever might have saved somebody else's life,
right?
Yeah, by being able to feel this cathartic feeling where they're like, somebody else hates people too, and now I feel better.
Yeah, no, I mean,
then we have, pumped up kicks about it, retroactively about that song,
Yeah, man. I mean, I know personally Marilyn Manson got me through some tough times in as a teenager, like I remember running around my room and having that teenage angst and being able to connect with loud music, and it really got me, it really helped me. And right now it seems like kids are being sort of used as as almost like a weapon. It's like, because if you do this, then kids are going to kill themselves because you're not protecting the kids. And it's like, well, shit, man. I don't. At some point, parents have to take on responsibility too. And if your kid's going through something to the point where like a tweet or a song or a person is, them hearing it or seeing it is going to make them want to take their own lives, then there's obviously something deeper and more going on here. And I know as a parent that it's hard to always know what you're.
How much you blame the song or anything for that to a certain extent.
We're taking out the idea of responsibility, of being responsible, and what is that called? Just being self-aware in general, and being aware of what your family is doing. And I know people are busy. I know it's hard to be good parents and be there all the time. And especially if you have 3 or 4 of the little bastards running around, like you don't know what they're doing at all times. But there has to be some sort of personal responsibility into your creations and the things that you brought into this world, and to silence people because you're afraid of them seeing or hearing or doing something like that's gonna drive them to jumping off of a roof. It's like there's deeper shit at play here than that. You know what I mean? There's like, they need help, and like, are you going to get them help? Are you going to are you going to step in and be a parent? And that's a huge part. And so I feel like it's unfair it's always the kids, right? Because when we were coming up, it was like the music, they were trying to censor music and all that shit, like South Park, and The Simpsons and shit. They were just like, the kids are going to fucking, but it's just like, a lot of times I feel like they wanted to silence the art that sort of calls out the system. And when you're talking about like back in the day when they were trying to silence NWA and gangster rap, a lot of that was talking out against the system, and no one likes that shit. And Marilyn Manson too, talking about talking about the hypocrisy and the evils of the church that can happen, and religion and such, like, because religion can be a weapon as well. So it's just let's blame GTA too. Yeah, fuck it. Let's just throw it all in there. So it's always like the kids are this weapon to push forward a narrative or to silence people into sort of, what they want you to think and how they want you to think. And I just don't, that's not American. It's not American. Or maybe it is American because we've been doing it for a really long fucking time. We've been, as Americans and as governments, I mean, the CIA has been involved in TV programming since TV came out. So.
Oh, yeah. For sure, man. It's like,
so
yeah. It's I mean, especially now too, it's just like, as much as it tries to be censored, it's still going to exist. It's still out there. Kids getting on the internet now and find anything, it's like,
exactly.
And you can find evil in all formats, MP3 video, and demons or whatever.
Christianity's like, killed more people.
Available in every format.
Yes, in most formats, there's always going to be something bad that people don't like, and it's like, man, I'm sorry.
And that's part of it too, where it's just like, you can't be sheltered from that forever. It exists, It's
yes, it certainly does exist, and it is coming for all of us. And there's no nerfing the world. There's no people are going to get in really shitty situations. There's shitty people in the world, and people should be prepared for that. And I don't think kids are prepared for that at all. I feel like a lot of it is, they're expecting the world to sort of bend around them. And it's like, bro, if you were in Iran and you were, trans at 13 or whatever, which again, I'm nothing against trans folks. I love them all. But if you were to come out and declare yourself, pan or whatever in Iran or Afghanistan right now, they'd fucking stone you to death. So it's like you got to understand that we're in a very as much as our freedoms are sort of being encroached upon now these days, we are still in one of the freest places we could be to be ourselves and to find our way in this world. And there's just such a lack of acknowledgement of that. And I find it's disconcerting because you go to other countries and you're not going to get that treatment. You're not going to get acceptance. And I know it's hard to fucking find acceptance in this country too. I know that there's fucking transphobes, homophobes, there's fucking, there's racists and shit. That is obvious. But at least we are able to sort of express ourselves almost in a way that's not going to, get us thrown off a roof. I mean, in most cases, I mean, because we do have some fucking wild people here.
It's just like, I think in a lot of cases, people that wind up being actors or writers or musicians or whatever, they are crazy people battling with their demons and using that expression to keep them from doing something crazier, where it's just like, there's some, even, with my own music, I don't think I go anywhere near any of these lines. But still,
I think with your stuff,
as a songwriter, as a lyricist, I do try to like bend some, even if it's just like turning a word in a different way or whatever, where like, but also like writing a cathartic, angry song, like feels great to write it, feels great to perform it, like you get it out. It's like, it's, you get it out of your system doing that way. And it's like,
yes. And
some of these people that, I think people that don't have those outlets are the ones that actually do harm,
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you're hitting it right there. It's like, this shit don't go away. It doesn't go anywhere. There has to be a place for it to be out, like whether it's on 4chan or Reddit, whatever it is, there has to be sort of a place for this stuff to go because it doesn't go away. People are going to do it, and you said it, you hit it right on the head. It's like you sort of push people into extremism when you start telling them they can't do that, and you don't let them speak in a way that where there's no conversation. When there's no conversation, there's no way of sort of correcting that thought process, right? Like if you're not allowed to speak on something, if you're not allowed to talk freely about something, then how can people sort of work through these issues as a whole? Because right now we're just sort of pushing people in their own extreme ideals right now. And you can just see it as a country, we're so fucking divided, and just nothing is, there's no really cohesion going on right now, and people have this belief about the other person that's so extreme. It's like, if you're a Republican, then you're obviously a Nazi, and if you're an extreme Democrat or a liberal, it's like you're an extreme fascist. Like they're both saying the same shit about each other, and no one wants to sit there and have the conversation because the conversation might offend somebody. And it's like, well, fuck, dude, we're not gonna get through this with no one being offended. There's just no way we're going to do that. So the conversations have to happen, or else we're going to have people just sort of creating these fucking extreme factions of their ideologies. And that's how wars start. That's how civil wars start too. It's not a great way. But I I liked how you say it, like, your idea of pushing the boundary might be like, being a triceratops so you can be horny from head to toe, like, which is a very playful way of say it, because a triceratops has horns, and also being horny and like being a sexual being.
On the live TV morning show the other morning. It felt great. Tell everybody how I really feel.
Exactly. I love that.
That's maybe a very mild version of pushing the envelope, but it's just like, or it's just like, that's what keeps things exciting, where it's just like, it's like, that's part of the stretch of the brain that happens when you do hear something new, or or some new artistic expression. It's, that's what keeps things interesting, keeps you growing. It's like, even if you don't agree, even if you don't identify with that art, it's like part of its existence. It's just like film too. It's just like, think about all of the film that has like really shocking gore and like really extreme graphic scenes, and it's, like, I guess just like with everything else, it's like, if you don't agree with it, you don't like it, you don't want to partake in it, don't do it. It's like, don't watch the movie, don't listen to the song. It doesn't mean it shouldn't exist.
Right, exactly. Cooley said horny on live TV. Thank you. Thank you, Holger. Yeah, which is great. I love that you said horny on live TV. Well, you see that too, like, even with movies now, they're having all this problems with all these movies that were supposed to be these Oscar home runs. They're all flopping, and a lot of people are saying is because there's a certain ideology that's being sort of rammed down people's throats, and people just are like, okay, we get it. Can we have like a good story? Can we have, and I know like so many black folks who are so sick of like slave movies and stuff. And I'm not trying to shit on slave movies or any of this stuff, but when you look at the numbers, you do see sort of this this general consensus, right? Because Emmett Till came out, and I haven't seen it, and I do want to see it. And I think that is an important story to be told in America for Americans to know about this, because that's what really started, it really shined a light on the horrors that black folks were facing, in the South and in these rural areas, and we're still, living under these, they were living under these super oppressive regimes and stuff, but they spent like $35 million on it, and it brought in like Emancipation, which is Will Smith's thing. He's that flop. So you're seeing all, like the new movie from Pixar. It has like LGBTQ lead in it, and I think it's great. And I think that people should see themselves in film. Representation is important, I believe. But you can sort of see a general consensus of like what we are sort of, as a country here at least, it seems that people are sort of like, we get it. We just want a good story. We get that things were horrible at one time. We get that people suffer a lot, but it's like, holy shit, bro. It's like we can't all the time have all these ideologies shoved down our throats in such a way. I'm shitting on slave movies. I'm tired of that stuff, because you became Wakanda fresh don't mean that it's not a black exploitation film made by Disney. Disney thinks that people forgot about the songs of the South, another slavery classic. Unfortunately, it's like the woman NBA. Don't be mad if the audience that you pander to don't buy. Go woke, go broke as a true thing. Same old. Well said. I mean, and again, I'm not trying to sit here and shit on slavery movies or anything, because it is an important thing for people to understand, like, where we come from. But I think we get it. I think we get where we're going here. And I'm not speaking on behalf of black people at all. I'm not black. But I do have a lot of black people in my family, and there's a general consensus. They're fucking over it. I mean, I talk to an array of people, and it really is just like a snuff films and stuff. It's like, it's I don't know. It's just very, I don't know. But yeah, the WNBA thing is very funny, because I just saw these people break down the numbers where they're like, the WNBA, they don't want to get the same pay as the NBA, as the men, but they just want to make enough money that they want to make the same money like how the NBA does. How much they want a piece of the profits is what they're saying. And when they did the numbers, the fucking they lose about 10 to 12 million dollars a year, the WNBA does, to keep this thing going. And so they did the numbers. They were like, there's 12 to 14 people per team, and there's like, I don't know, there's like 10 teams out there or something, so there's like 120 people. They did the math and they're like, okay, if it's negative 12 million divided by divided by 120 or something, it's like, so every WNBA player owes $82,000 because it doesn't make any money. And so it's,
Yeah.
I don't know. And I don't play basketball, and I don't care about sports. So to me, it's just interesting. It's interesting where we're at.
No, that's wild to think of as with in the world of sports, though, because it's just like, I mean, I would believe that more in like a music industry sense, but like, no, but yeah, it's just like every big thing like that is like, it's like there's so much loss involved in that. It's not everybody's just like rolling in the dough.
Right. And the thing is that ladies are, I mean, they're killing it in the music game right now. If you look at pop and stuff, a lot of women are dominating. I mean, look at, I mean, Rihanna is fucking killing it. She's a fucking billionaire. Taylor Swift, they're giving Taylor Swift her own movie now. Like, they're just like, you know what? She can't go wrong. And I heard a podcaster talk about Tim Dillon, who's a comedian, but he's also has his own podcast. He was talking about, he's like, this is where movies are going. We're just going to give it to people who they know that their fan base is going to recoup the money. And so they're like, fuck it. Even if it's a piece of shit, she's writing it. I think she's directing it. And
really?
Yeah, I believe so. I think that's how it's going. And she's and the Swifties are going to come through. The Swifties are going to come through. They're going to support no matter what. And that speaks volumes to where the music business is now, because it's like, if you don't have your own music fan, if you don't have your own base for like these record companies to come like just basically milk off of. Thank you, Mighty Mighty. Thank you so much for gift subbing. Ant Hill, thank you so much. Love you. But I don't know, like, if you don't have, if in order for record companies to even look at you, if you don't have like millions of followers on TikTok and Instagram, and if your music's not already doing well on its own, then they don't even want to look at you. And it's
not
like,
at all. And yeah, and by well, it's not just like moderately well, unless you're just like in the multiple millions in numbers for anything. It's like, oh yeah, you got, you got 100,000 followers. Good for you, kid. Maybe you'll,
maybe you'll do something.
Keep working at it.
And then at that point, it's like you've worked your ass.
No numbers, like I hope that numbers in real life aren't exactly always the same. It's like, if you look at my numbers, I should have just like hung it up years ago, man.
But that's the thing about it. It's like, I don't feel like, I don't know, like, I know you still you still want to get to that point where you have money and you're able to, have an audience wherever you go, which is, I think, every artist's dream. But I think that's still something that's attainable, and it might not ever be, on the front of Rolling Stone, right? But it can be this thing where you do build a community, and you do have people who support you, and you're able to make money off of your art, and you're able to travel around and do things that, most people don't get to do through your music, and that is possible. And to sort of for a lot of people, for them to be like, I just want to be on Bieber's level all day, which is great. I aim high as fuck. I say always aim high. But you should also be okay with like creating a beautiful community that you're able to sort of, live off of and function for, I think it's beautiful to live off music. Like, I was living off music for 5 to 7 years or something like that, until the pandemic came and took my job, and then I went and got a regular job, but that was awesome. I loved it, and I want to get back to it. I just don't want to be hustling and staying up until 4 in the morning, and then have to a kid wake you up in the morning at like 8, and you like have to suffer through the day. Like I need things to work for me and not for, have to run
Yeah.
around here and there. It's just
Yeah.
changed. I mean, going back to how the pandemic's changed everything for a lot of people. But I don't know, like you're able do you primarily live off music? Is that your main gig?
That is my main broke income, yes.
But it's beautiful, man. You
But
live
yeah,
you're
yeah,
warm. You're
you know,
warm and you're healthy. You're able to do these cool things. Like it's a beautiful life to live as an artist, even if you are broke a lot. But it's
I'm
still
traded for everything. And even in the
exactly.
times where I'm like, why the hell am I still doing this? Like, it's just, yeah, and I mean, I've kind of based my whole existence around it too. It's just like, I mean, like, haven't really kept too many relationships around very long,
Mm.
including my marriage, like,
How long were
I
you
don't,
married?
I don't want kids. I don't
Hmm.
have kids,
Yeah.
like, this is what I want. This
Right.
life is what I want. And it's exciting, and because I never know what's going to happen next, and there's always going to be something fascinating that happens. And yeah, I love the freedom of it. I love the adventure of it.
Hell yeah.
And but I also love the the real purity within it, where it's, you know the reasons why I'm doing this now are very similar to the same reasons why when I started making music that I wanted to do this, where it's just like I really profoundly felt like that music can heal people and help people in lots of different ways. And but that's why I'm still doing it too. And I'm still doing it because I I see the times and the moments where that happens with other people, and that drives me. It's just like, if it's just doing the live streams every week, like there are people that tune in, like Justin, who's watching right now. He watches the live streams almost every week, and when like they tune in, and it's like, I know how much they want to hear these songs, and it makes me all just as more want to play them. And but there's just, it's a it is a very singular life, very unique lifestyle, but I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. It's who I am. It's what I love and do. I'm probably more passionate about it now than I've ever been.
Wednesday therapy sessions with Cooley. Uh,
Oh yeah.
Thanks, Justin. That's nice, and that's what it should be too. It should be it should be this beautiful hybrid of expression and mental gymnastics and working things out and sharing it with your community and being able to have people who are happy to see you succeed and not have people who are just like mad at you for being good and just it's a beautiful thing that you can build around yourself through art. And yeah, man. And Samo said, keep going, good sir. It empowers me to understand your chase of, oh, fuck, I fucked it up. Keep going, good sir. That empowers me to understand chase your passions. Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, Samo's got it. Samo knows. I'm interested in your because you're an English major, and we'll start wrapping up here. But you said that you just wrote an article. What's up with the article? How do we
Yeah.
read the article?
So I just wrote an article for Songwriting Magazine, which is a publication out of the UK. It's kind of like the UK's version of American Songwriter,
Hmm.
and that's on I've posted some links on my Facebook and stuff like that, but it's like $4 to download the issue, and I've been reading through it just because anybody who's like interested in songwriting or songwriters at all is worth checking out, because it's there's an interview with Julian Lennon in there, like all sorts of cool stuff. But yeah, I I studied English because I mainly wanted to be better at writing lyrics because I was getting a lot of flack about my lyrics when I was younger. I was like, I'm just gonna nip this in the bud.
Why were you getting flagged?
Just the same back to college days. Just those hipster bloggers.
The hipster bloggers.
So I was like, I want to show you guys, but
I just dropped the link in the art in the show I just dropped the link in the chat, y'all. If you guys want to go check out that. No, wait, is it called Song Deconstruction Coyote by Shane Cooley?
No, that's another piece that they did on.
Oh, they did this on you.
So yeah, they put out that piece, and then over the summer, I was asked to write a tips column for songwriting. So which I've identified with a writer probably longer than I've even identified with being a musician. So like, but I don't always have much opportunity to do that. So that was a really fun challenge, and I wrote a little piece about the impact of ditties, which ditties are kind of a loose definition, but
like P. Diddy.
a little bit like P. Diddy, just like a song that is like kind of simple and possibly lighthearted, but just kind of like effortless, like my Triceratops song I wrote in like 5 minutes as a joke, and it became a song, where instead of like being like completely like putting too much attention into detail into a song or putting too much on yourself to be like, I have to write this great song. Sometimes the best songs come out of these really like thinking, not thinking kind of states of mind. Like one of the songs I talked about was Don't Worry, Be Happy, which is a song to hate. And then I was like, actually, this is brilliant as hell.
It is. I it's one of those songs that you can love to hate, but I've always been a fan of it. But it's always been fascinating that he was able to have a #1 hit with just, his voice, right? It's completely acapella.
That's a classic example because there's no instruments on that, which is wild. I didn't even know that till I did the research for this column. But
what I'm trying to find, I'm on your Facebook page, and I'm trying to find the link for it. I found here. I'll just do this.
It should be. It's one of my pinned posts.
Oh, it's pinned.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me go back up. Maybe I don't get pinned.
That one. It's the one. The picture of me with the electric guitar there. Yeah. It's one of the pictures. So it's the caption for that group of pictures.
Son of a bitch. How do
I know.
Oh, view post. Okay.
Facebook, so weird.
Yeah.
There it is.
So then how can I drop a link? I don't see a link. I see the link to the website.
Yeah, that's the website, and then you just go on there and download the latest issue.
I see. So you download the latest. Okay, so you go to that link that dropped in the and you can download the latest. It's the latest issue that's out now.
Fall 2022. It's that cover with those two lovely songwriter chicks on there.
Yeah, some chickadees. You wrote a song about P. Diddy, Sean Puffy, and the baby with no mama. Oh, the baby with no mama. Oh man, I'm about to dig into that Twitter thread right now of Young Miami going off on academics. Oh, get out of the way, bitch. I'm just trying to show the thing.
Maybe I need to write a P. Diddy.
We need the P. Diddy. Okay. Look, this says $3 per issue.
R. Kelly says he's been writing P. Diddy's all day.
Oh, what's up? God damn it, P. Diddy. Damn it, R. Kelly. Why'd you have to go and do all the weird shit? Yeah, so everybody, you can go and here, I'll just drop this in there. And this will be in the show notes too if y'all are listening. So you were able to sort of dive into these songs and sort of expound on them and what about Don't Worry, Be Happy was the most striking thing that you learned besides it being a cappella?
Well, I think it's just, to me it was like,
or even any of the songs that you covered. It doesn't have to be that song.
Yeah, well, it was actually, it took me a little while to kind of like come up with my concept for that, because it was basically, I was just like, write down some tips for songwriters. I'm like, what the hell am I gonna do? And so I just came up with these certain examples of these songs that just, it's almost like more of a state of mind maybe they came from than the actual song themselves. Whereas one of the songs was a John Prine song that I talked about, which is a much more like, much headier version of like a, what one might call a ditty than Don't Worry Be Happy. Whereas, but it's still this idea of this like this simplistic thing where it's like, where you're not overly concentrating on the songwriting itself. You're just kind of getting lost in this simple idea or where whatever, where it's, you know, like where like a song like Don't Worry Be Happy isn't necessarily doesn't have this serious quality to it where it's like trying so hard to be a great song, but that's what makes it a great song.
Yeah.
I don't know if quite makes, but maybe I wrote it a little better than I can say it right now.
That's usually how it works.
I write English well, and I only speak English good.
Hey! Yeah! Thank you, Lil Jon. But so then what would be a good tip for someone besides like overthinking it? I think is kind of where you're going with it. Like, don't overthink it. Sort of just tap in and let yourself go with the flow. What's another tip that you would give, you know, young songwriters?
I would say to be you know, like I said earlier, I love to go out and people watch. I always like to have an open channel and kind of be present as much as I can. And it's just like, you know, it's, and I probably, to be an open channel, but also to not be intimidated. It's like, because it, you know, it's just, especially when like you have a writer's block or you haven't written something in a while, and then it's just like, there have been so many times over and over where I'm like, I'm never going to be able to write a song again. In like 3 weeks, what's going to happen? Like, I've lost it. And it's just, you know, you can psych yourself out in so many ways. So it's just like,
yeah, totally.
The world can do that to you enough on its own, so you don't need to do that to yourself.
Yeah, sort of staying out of your own way. Thank you, Moving Dutchman. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you for that gift sub to GG. I don't know how to say that last name, but GG. Yeah, man, that's a huge part of it. Is getting out of your own way. That took me so long to understand. I mean, it seems like for you, you got past that certain hurdle pretty quickly. I mean, you've been writing songs, like full-fledged songs, since you're, you know, in your early teens. So, do I have it wrong? Have you? I mean, I know, I'm sure you've gotten in your own way and stuff. But like, it seems like you've figured out a way to sort of get past those hurdles as you've gotten older and gotten more experience.
Yeah, I think it's more of just like realizing that, you know, realizing those things are going to happen too. Realizing it's just like, and realizing when, like, you know, when it's not going to happen too. It's just like, if I'm super rock bottom depressed, like, it's probably not going to happen. I probably would be better off just, you know, staying in bed and watching Star Trek that day, you know, or just like, but like, that's okay. You know, it's just like, you know, it's, I think a lot of musicians and artists put a lot on themselves and have a lot of high expectations on themselves or their careers or their goals or whatever. And, you know, I've spent so much of my life sitting around wondering why I'm not elsewhere, where I should just be completely embracing where I am. And make the best of that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's beautiful. I think that's a good place to leave it. Shane, I really appreciate you coming on the show and giving us your time.
Yeah, I, brother.
Oh, no problem. The latest EP out is The Circus Rolls, and of course you can find The Forest, which is the predecessor. Is that what it is? It's the album before that. Forest is out on vinyl. You can go to his website if you just put it. I've dropped in there. Yeah, you can go to the website and find all the links to all the things. You can find the YouTubes and the latest album. I made a little song whip for Circus Roll. So if you want to hear that right now, you can just go listen to that. Shane, is there any parting words you want to leave us with before you depart?
Aliens are real. I have one.
Wait.
And,
Do you believe that? Do you believe aliens are real?
oh yeah, I can't believe this.
Do you
this
think?
is just now we're starting to talk about
Wait,
this.
do you believe that aliens have come to Earth?
I think so.
Okay.
Pretty sure most of my friends are.
No, because I definitely believe that there's other beings out in the world. I'm not sure if they've come here. I mean, those UFOs or whatever they
I'm
call
open
them.
to all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here for it all. We'll start with that next time. You're welcome back
We'll
anytime.
have to have a special UFO segment.
We'll have an official one. Shade, you're welcome back on anytime. And I'm sorry, I interrupted you with a question. Aliens are real?
Aliens are real. I love you guys. Thanks for having me. And yeah, keep talking to yourself out there.
Everybody, give a round of applause for today's guest, Mr. Shane Cooley. Thank you so much, Shane. I appreciate you, my friend. I'll be in contact with you soon. Oh shit, that's not what I have to do. Thank you, everybody. Shane Cooley, everybody. What a fucking hero. What a thing to leave us on. I would have kept that conversation going, but I have other things I have to do as well. So whenever Shane decides to come back on the show, we'll start with the aliens, because who doesn't love talking about aliens? Have you guys not seen the documentary Moonwalker? That is a legit documentary, son. That is real fucking life. Okay, so if you guys missed it, we're going to be going back to 3 days a week. I get to make my own schedule now at work, so we're going to be going back to that. I'm going to be booking more guests. I know, like, it's been high and dry. Well, we just been getting canceled on a lot, which is no fault to anybody. The shit happens, and it just happens, and in weird times. So it's no big deal. But yes, sir, that's what I'm talking about. Killing me at school, listening to silence. That's what they do. They kill you with silence. So I'm not sure if we'll start this Wednesday, but we'll definitely start next Wednesday, and then we'll be back this Friday for sure. And I think Bentley's gonna come back, because I had to cancel on Bentley last week because I just had something come up, and it was I had a family member who went into the hospital, so I wanted to spend that day with them, and I'm actually gonna go see them right now. So that's where I'm going, and you gotta make room for family, especially in their most vulnerable times. So I will see you guys on Friday. If not Wednesday, we'll be back on Friday at 4 p.m.